For those of you guys that are just now joining, Ryan and I are going to be going through this webinar in just a couple seconds. We just wanted to give you guys a little bit of time to get in and get situated. If you do have questions, feel free to chat them over to the QA section or in the chat. You can also raise your hand. We have a couple people behind the scenes that are ready to take questions and give you guys some answers. And also, as some housekeeping, we've got, you guys are going to be absolutely not filmed. Your picture's not going to show up, and you're also muted. So if you are Zooming in your PJs, popping a bag of popcorn, no one's going to know. And I like to think that that's a healthy visual of all of us kind of right now during Corona tide.
This webinar is snacks approved.
Snacks, just grab some snacks.
Absolutely.
So exactly. We are all loving some snacks. All right, so let's go ahead and kick this thing off. I'm Carrie with High Ground Solutions, and this is my co-host today, Ryan.
Hi there.
Here's our lovely faces. So I work in customer success at High Ground Solutions. We send out mass messaging. Some of you guys may be our clients. Some of you may have heard of us, and some of you may, I don't know what you do. We send out mass text messages, emails, and voicemails, and we'll get more into that later. Ryan, tell us about you.
Yeah, sure. My name is Ryan Spargo. I'm the Director of Accounts with in10sity Interactive. We are a web provider for some of you perhaps, and if those of you are looking for a website, that's the thing we offer. We have our own platform, Innovate CMS, and we are laser focused on building an extremely strong, well-performing web platform that is modern and responsive and is going to help you move your content and your web experience into the future.
Awesome. And for those of you that don't know, High Ground Solutions and in10sity, we are buddies and we love to work together.
Yep.
And so we are going to kind of give you an idea of what we do separately, but also with a few pieces of information on how you could be a client of both of ours and how our products can enhance each other. So just to do that, let's talk just a little bit. These are some little blurbs about our products. Like I said earlier, we provide mass messaging systems to a lot of different corporations, different school systems or college campuses, malls, hospitals, you name it. So if you ever get a text message on your phone saying that your prescription is ready to be picked up, it's a system very similar to that. So that's kind of sums up a little bit about High Ground. How about in10sity?
Yeah, in10sity, as I said before, is all about building a really, really great web presence. Our platform, everything about it, the tools, the modules, everything is about making your website stand out. We offer that through creative designs, custom building, or I even should say exclusive building. So you have a unique design that is your own, but everything works in an interconnected modular fashion. We've got an amazing page building system that allows you to drag and drop pieces and really make your content attractive the way you want to. It's an incredibly engaging platform that also, as we'll talk a little bit about later, helps with accessibility.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the gist of this webinar. We wanted to really kind of focus on reach and accessibility here. First, we have a question for you guys. We've got a couple poll questions, but this first one is, are you fluent in more than one language? So if you feel like it, oh, I already see that you guys are answering. Hooray. Yeah. It's awesome. So Ryan and I had a chance to talk about this poll question earlier, and we are unfortunately not very fluent in any other languages other than English.
I think we agreed that we were fluent in talking to our pets. I think that was what we had. Yeah, we shared that.
Really good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like if you asked my dogs if I was fluent in dog, they would be like,
they would say, no, no clue what she's, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
I mean, I live an egotistical life, assuming my cats understand me. That's probably incredibly ridiculous. Of course they don't. Yeah. They're also probably not listening.
I don't think my cat listens to me at all. My dog listens a lot, but
well, yeah, dogs are eager to listen. Cats, they listen for the can opener. That's it.
That is true. That's 100% true. So it looks like our poll is in, and are you fluent in more than one language? Hooray, we have some people that are. That's awesome. But the overwhelming majority of you guys is no. And I think that that's really a great response, because we're going to talk about how you can be reaching other people of different languages, among other things today, but that's a great one. I'm not fluent in a language. So in this instance, I would need to rely on a system to translate for me.
Right.
And Ryan and I are going to talk about the different ways that we have to do that.
Yeah, there are a lot of tools that will help you when you need multiple languages on your site, on your products. Anytime you need that translation, there are a lot of different ways to do it.
Mm-hmm. So there's that. All right, so let's go through and talk about the reach and accessibility. So basically what we want to talk to you guys about today is not only how do you reach somebody who speaks Mandarin or Spanish or something other than your native language, but also how do you reach people who are hard of hearing? How do you reach people with different disabilities? So that's something that we really want to be able to communicate as well. And at the end of this, what we want to have for you guys is a little bit of a bonus, and Ryan can give us like a little sneak peek of what that's going to be, because we want you guys to hang around. It's definitely clickbait, but you know.
Yeah, or watch bait, I guess. We don't have a term for that. And I really hope we don't make one. That'd be, I don't even like clickbait. So much about reaching people and engaging that reach is going to be accessibility. And we're going to talk a lot about accessibility. Some buzzwords you're going to hear are WCAG, ADA, compliance. We'll talk a lot about that in the coming slides. It's going to be a big part of this for sure.
All right, so what I want to talk about first, I'm going to lead us off and talk to you guys all about mass communications and high ground solutions. So like I mentioned before, if you have ever gotten a text message that says your child was late for school today, or something else like that that's been pushed over to you, that would be a system very similar to what ours has. And some of you guys may be using it in that exact way. First, we're going to just discuss text messaging. Did you know that the average person checks their phone like 95 or 96 times a day, which to me is really crazy. But I do find, I mean, I grew up without cell phones, but my cell phone is on me at all times. Like,
my phone asked me the other day, it has a new feature where it's like, I can show you how much screen time you're spending every day. And I'm like, I'm good. Don't share that with me. You keep that phone, you can hang on to it. I'm good.
I feel like it's akin to going on a diet. It's like, I don't even know what I'm consuming.
That's right.
I would rather be.
Let's not talk about it. It's fine.
Exactly. But if you think about it, you guys are probably like Ryan and I, you probably have your phone on you all the time. And I like to joke around about how I want to be off the grid. I could probably do without my cell phone. And I don't even have Facebook. I don't do social media. Like I am not there. But here it is right next to me all the time. And one of the things that gets my attention more than anything else is a text message. Now, text messages for me, they're going to be checked pretty much immediately. If I have a little notification that comes up, I'm a task person. I love to cross it off. So I want to check.
Same way.
Sure it's
Same
clear.
way.
Ryan and I talked about this earlier. We do not fall asleep at night when there are text messages waiting. We don't even drink coffee in the morning if there's a text message waiting.
That's so true.
We're going to check
I'm
it.
like, I gotta respond to this right now. This is important.
Right away. Exactly. Now, there are some people, I'm sure you guys have that friend that has like 60 unread text messages. I'm not sure how those people function in a.
Can you really call them a friend? Can you really? I don't know.
I mean, are they responding to your text messages in a timely manner? So the point of this is 99% of text messages are read. And that's how text messages were developed. They were developed to get your attention. They're developed so that when you open your phone, they're right there in front of your face. So when you think about your reach with our solution, you want to be sending text messages, probably more than any other format to send. 75% of people that were surveyed do prefer a text message. Now, when we talk about things like ADA compliance and things like that, Text messages, obviously, in email messages, any text-based message is going to be really, really great for those users that you have that are hard of hearing.
That's right.
They can read it immediately. They can respond to it. With our program, you also have the option to have people respond to your text messages. So you're able to communicate with this person in a way that is probably the best for them. Another thing that we offer are voice messages, and we all laugh. Yes, it is. Okay. I know my daughter in school, whenever they send it out, and this is something very common, they send out the trifecta. Okay. If schools are closed, I'm going to get a text message, a voicemail, an email. I mean, you name it. So in that sense, voice messages are really great because it gets your attention. It's like, okay, like this wasn't just like a text message, like this is a serious message, right? Voicemail. I feel like voicemails have like a weight to them. Like
They do. They're powerful. When you
yeah,
hear
like,
you have one new message, it's like it could be anything. It could be
yeah,
anything.
yeah, exactly. And I also now, because of all the spam that's out there, I know that if someone is serious about calling me, they'll
Yep.
leave a voicemail.
Yep.
I always know it's legitimate.
The sincerity of a call is doubled by the presence of a voice message.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I should probably pay attention to that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
This one as well, we're touching on a little bit of our reach. I mean, these are all useful in many, many different ways. But as far as ADA compliance goes, this would obviously be a really great, platform for somebody who was blind, or
That's
was,
right.
reading or things like that. I also know, and this is interesting because I do have some friends that are not fluent or native English speakers, and several of them prefer to have a voice to listen to. It's a little bit easier. I think that it's because they've picked up English through talking and not necessarily, maybe they moved here, as an adult, and reading is like, that's hard. I mean, even with
Right.
in front of me, I would be like,
Yeah.
So voice messaging can be really, really useful in that sense.
It's those multiple options that I think make a huge difference, especially with accessibility. I mean, being able to offer more than one way of communicating it opens a lot of doors to you.
Absolutely. And with our platform, you can easily send out multiple different types of messages with a click of a button. So you're not having to send like a text message to these people, a voicemail to these people. You could send out all of these options to your users, and then you could cover a wide, broad, range of people. Email is still a thing as well. Email is maybe not the best way to get in touch with somebody if it's an emergency, right? Like if it's an emergency, you should call, you should text, but an email is really helpful with newsletters. I know that sounds a little outdated, but like I subscribe to newsletters that mostly newsletters about like how to get off the grid.
There's irony there. I like that. I like that very much.
How to raise chickens. Am I the only one? But newsletters are really helpful in that way because you can have a lot more information in this one platform. So if you're sending out an email, it's really, really helpful to have more details in there. You can have clickable links listed. You can move from one place to another with an email. I know a lot of the emails that I get that are like subscription based, they have information that I want to click and then go to their website, which Ryan will talk about in just a minute.
Yep.
But that's so helpful, especially if you're trying to connect these things and drive engagement with your product. Okay. So think about using email in that way. Obviously with a text message, you can do the same thing, but I don't know if anybody's like me. I don't really want to look at a website on my phone just yet. But on my big screen, like I want to browse your stuff, and so sending a link through an email is a really great way to do that. And as well, we talked about with ADA compliance, sending an email is really helpful for those people who are hard of hearing, so that you have the ability for them to be able to read that information, get detailed information, and know how to respond, right? If you send them a link or go here to sign up or check this website out for more information, etc. It's a really, really great way to reach people. And one thing I wanted to check on before we went to websites and digital services, which we'll touch again in a minute, but all of those ways of communicating can be translated. You can translate all of these things into many different languages, really, like I said before, with a click of a button. So not only are you able to reach out to those people who don't have the same abilities as like a normal hearing person would, or somebody who has their sight, you could also reach out to people who don't speak English fluently. And that's a really great option. Okay, Ryan, take it away and let me know how to turn your pages for you, buddy.
Absolutely. So now we're going to transition to talking about your website and how that reaching out really literally transitions into your website content and the digital services that you offer. So the first thing it starts with is visitor engagement. We'll go to that first.
Okay.
So this one is, I mean, it's a broad concept, but the idea here is that you understand your audience. Your content is built for your audience. You're creating content and creating pages that help the people who came to your website find the information they want in a very concise manner. Sometimes you'll hear people talk about the idea of something being no more than 3 clicks deep. And that just means that you shouldn't have to click more than 3 times to get any information you want from the site. And that's because it's well organized. Setting goals for how your content is delivered is really, really important. And that extends from more than just the web pages. You set goals for your mass communication. When you're sending out that message to people, if you have a marketing plan or something you're doing, and people are going to be coming to the site, you want the message that goes to them has enough information that they know what they're coming to the site for. But when they come to the site, they should get a bigger version of the message in the text or in the email or in the voice message that is all represented on the website. And that really comes down to great content, writing your content well, concisely. Don't repeat your content on your site. We'll talk a little more about that in accessibility and WCAG. But the big thing there is having well laid out, well organized content that kind of checks the boxes of goals you have for your site.
I think we can all agree here. Has anybody ever tried to look up a recipe? Maybe it's other things too, but a recipe on the internet, I have to read and scroll 20 ads, and I'm like, I just want to know how to make cinnamon rolls.
Yeah, I really don't know, no offense to anyone who writes recipes, because I find great recipes online, but for some reason there's a new trend where people write like a life story before the recipe. That's such a weird way of getting your content to someone. They don't do it in the middle, they do it all the way at the beginning, and then at the very bottom is the recipe. Sometimes I've seen, that's a good example. Sometimes I've seen websites that will describe to you the cook of the recipe before giving you the recipe. That's the same information twice, and the first half of it doesn't do anything for you because you still don't know the information you came for. That's a perfect example of it.
Yeah, keep us like you gotta help us with our websites, keep us all on track, right?
Yeah, exactly. The next thing is keeping it relevant and fresh. And that one is super important as well. Let's jump to that one. So this one is going to be about keeping your content new, up to date. Things like news and events, social media engagement. This is all extremely important. When you build your site and you have, your news, your events that you want to showcase, even if they're just little calendar events in your community, those need to be up to date because it shows people a couple of things. One, it shows them what's going on around you, but also two, it shows them that you're engaged. You're plugging into delivering this information, this data to people. And that's extremely powerful when you want to appear to be a website that people can go to anytime and get great new and updated information. And this is kind of where you expand upon those goals you had. So if your goal is to get more people to join your credit union or have more people visit your hospital or have more people engage in a promotion you have going on, those up-to-date efforts in social media and updating your site, putting on new content is going to help with that because it's going to keep you relevant. Relevancy is something that I think all websites are constantly fighting for, and it can be really daunting to stay on top of that struggle of always having new content. But it definitely starts with making your updates, making sure your news articles are new. I think that all plays into it a lot. And we can go ahead and jump to the next one, which is the big one. Okay, so don't get startled. Website accessibility is a big one. I will try to not talk about this at length. I totally feel like I could spend the whole webinar on this. Just for just a ground-based explanation for anyone who isn't aware. Website accessibility, you'll hear WCAG, which is Website Content Accessibility Guidelines, and ADA, which is the American Disabilities Act. The idea of both of these is that your site is usable by people who have certain disorders or disabilities. The idea here is if someone can't hear well or is hard of hearing or even deaf, color blindness, dyslexic, things like that, your site is built so that the content is still usable by them. One of the most common tools people use for accessibility is a screen reader. It literally is a program that reads the website aloud from top to bottom. And there's a lot of things you have to do to make a site accessible. It has become an enormous push on our part that all of our customers focus on, is my site accessible? And it involves a lot of things. It involves having specific colors, having code set into your site. It involves defining pictures, actually listing what they are with alt text. It involves a lot of steps, and it can be really daunting. And we don't want you to feel exhausted by it. It's all about making your site more usable to everyone. And currently, there's nothing that sort of officially states by law what you have to do, but we have standards from the World Wide Web Consortium that we refer to, and we strive for reaching level AA compliance. There are 3 different levels. I mean, this is really involved. Again, we could talk about it a lot. One other area is a 508. It's kind of a federal issue. Not many of you are going to experience this, but it kind of goes along with the same thing. It's basically all about people shouldn't come to your website and immediately go, oh no, I can't read it or hear it or see it because of certain problem. Everyone should be able to use your site no matter what's going on in their life. And that is going to be involving tools, experience, expertise, and that's kind of something that we specialize in. It's something that we're focused on really, really hard because it's extremely important.
I think what you're talking about is so great. And I just wanted to interject really fast. I use a budgeting software. It's a website that I go to, I visit it every day because I love to budget. I'm sure all of you feel the same way. But I noticed recently that they had a tab, and it was like, there was a pop-up that was like, hey, we made this new feature, check it out. And the tab changed the colors. And when I looked into it, it was because of color blindness. And so this is something that I feel like is going on behind the scenes for a lot of websites right now. And you and I may not be aware that it's happening, but for that specific website, I could toggle back and forth through different color options. So it just never occurred to me that somebody who might have color blindness might have had a really hard time telling the difference between different tabs. So Ryan, I mean, you're spot on. That's so important. And we're not even aware. A lot of people aren't even aware that websites are making this leap.
Yeah, it's something that if it's not I don't want to say that if it's not a problem for you, you're not thinking about it. But to some degree, that's kind of true. You might not realize that the color of the text in one of your navigation boxes and the color of the background means some people can't see it. And if they don't see that and a screen reader doesn't catch it in going through the site, any of those tools, they're going to miss your content. And I think more than anything, the main goal of all of this is people shouldn't miss your content. You need to do everything you can to make sure people don't miss it. And accessibility is a big part of that. And obviously, if you were to contact us, we would be able to go into greater detail. I won't do that now because, again, I could talk about it a lot. There's a lot.
Calm down, Ryan.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just excited about it. Okay. So yeah, I guess we can move on to the next one, which I think comes back to you.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about reach. There are a lot of different things, and there are several points here that Ryan and I, both of our companies, work with. Surveys and forms is a really great way to reach out to people. You guys answered a survey question at the beginning of this webinar. I mean,
We tricked you.
oh. But forms is a really great way to do that. Our company has the ability to create forms for you. And forms are, I see this a lot with like text messages. Somebody will like send a text message with a link to a form, and then they'll fill out that form. And this kind of like jumps right back to Ryan. If somebody is filling out a form, the form's on a website.
Yep.
And so that website can then get information. Like a really great example is if you have a visitor to a church service. So say that you're a church and you have visitors come, you say, hey, can you text this number? And it could be our company that texts back and says, fill out this form. And then it'll send you right over, leapfrogging to Ryan and their websites, and there's your form. And then your church can then get that information, like their name, their phone number, prayer requests, etc.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a really great way to reach your audience. You can also request responses. We talked a little bit about that. With text messaging with our platform, you can get responses back. Those responses can then be emailed to you if you would rather have that. So that's a really great way to keep in touch with people and be able to, hear back from them, especially if you're asking them like a survey question and you don't just have a press 1 for yes, press 2. I mean, we can do that for you if you want.
Sure.
With texting, people can respond back and be like, yes, I'm coming to the potluck and I'm bringing watermelon. And we can be like, yes, that's great. I can't wait to have the watermelon. Languages is another option. So with our text-based services, so text messages and emails, we have like tens and tens and tens of languages. I mean, like well over 100 different languages that are written out that we can translate into. I have a school system currently right now that's a client of ours that is using, they're translating into things like Farsi that you don't see very often, but have, different demographics in their community that they need to reach. And they're able to do that because of translating. Keyword opt-in is a really great option with us. And that is kind of like the example I gave above where, or ahead before, where somebody will say, hey, I'm really interested in finding out more about pet adoption. And the pet adoption agency can say, that's great. Could you text adoption to, and they'll provide our short code that they can use. And then they can fill out a form, they can get more information. They could even just be redirected to a website like Ryan's and then go from there. And Ryan, I think you wanted to talk a little bit about content. Is that right?
Yeah, I think the thing the thing you should take away from all of this is that these pieces of communication really are that. I mean, even sending someone a text message isn't just throwing a little bit of information at them. You're creating a conversation, and their half of the conversation might be going to your website and filling out a form or signing up for a new program or even just seeing the content you have. And that is where it's going to be so important that your website reflects the good content you're sending out to people in these messages. If you don't have something for them to land on, and I don't just mean a landing page, but like if you don't have content on your site that engages with them, they're only going to want to talk to you for so long. I know we're kind of dancing around metaphors here, but it's really true. If you send a message and they come to you, they say, okay, you've got me. Now what happens next? What else do you have? And your content is going to be extremely important for that. It's going to be crucial that your content reflects the programs you have, the ideas you want to convey, and that it matches that messaging. They really work together really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't want to redirect somebody to an outdated website or someplace that hasn't been updated and, however long. I mean, even
exactly.
If you're out linking to social media as well, like keep up with those posts, right? I mean, we want that to be live and active. All right, here's a little bit of a workflow for you guys on how this works. And Ryan and I kind of already talked about this, but Ryan, do you want to give a little bit more detail about kind of that life cycle?
Yeah, so a word you'll hear us use from time to time is conversions or conversion rate. And that kind of is how this works. So let's create a scenario here. You log into your Innovate platform to post important content on your website. You then know, I want to share that content with people, my users. So you use High Ground Solutions to direct the audience to the content. You're basically sending them an invitation to come see it. And sometimes that is engagement. Sometimes it's just looking at it. They receive that message in whatever form you choose to send it, maybe in multiple forms. And that engages them. They then convert to using your website. And so that's kind of the first conversion, is from that initial communication over to your website. From there, they're looking at your website, they're seeing the content you have, and they want to engage with more than maybe just the one thing they came for. If someone comes to your church site and is just curious about the one program you have, they might discover, oh, there are some other things I want to do. And that kind of begins the need for you to, once again, update your content and keep it more relevant. And it really just continues this cycle over and over of creating new information, letting people know that you have it, they come to you for it, and then you do it again.
Yep, absolutely. It's a really, really great cycle. And I'm sure you guys can think of, take a minute to think about a website that you visit on a fairly regular basis for information. It could be a blog all about how to get off the grid and own chickens. This is my dream. Or it could be, a banking website, or it could be, whatever it is. Think of the draw that social media has. Facebook and Instagram are continually updating you with the latest and greatest. It's
so true.
The perfect example, right? So you're going to get drawn in, you're sucked in. Like, I want to look at Instagram and it's not even that exciting. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I look back and I'm like, why did I spend 15 minutes?
why did I come here again? What was the point?
Facebook why does Pinterest exist?
Facebook's entire model, if you think about it, is this cycle.
Yes.
They have their website. You as a user have put things on it, and then they say, okay, great. We're going to show all that to the people who follow you. They're going to see it. They're going to come to your page. They're going to leave a comment. You're going to post new stuff because you see people talking to you. So you think, okay, I want to engage more. And it just keeps going and going. That's a perfect example of this. And I know we're not talking about building the next Facebook. I don't think any of us want to, but it's absolutely like that. You want your content to engage people to where they want to keep coming back and see more.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to, take a lot of hours of your time. Obviously, that's why in10sity exists.
Right.
It's a really wonderful thing to keep in mind, is that you want to keep that circle going. All right, today we're going to talk about our bonus here. Ryan, did you want to talk a little bit about this guy?
Yeah. So the I don't even know really where to start here. So the idea is that you want to engage recruiting wise, especially. So let's say, for example, let's do a very specific example. You're a hospital and you're looking to engage doctors to come to your hospital. One of the ways you could do that is with this opt-in program. So you're creating messages that you deliver to professionals that you want to join. And you could do this with really any organization. Schools could do it with teachers. Offices could do it with new workers that they want in their administrative departments. It's all about creating this reach for your recruiting by giving people this way to come to you, give you their info in an easy to use form or an easy to use page, and then you can follow up engagement with them. I mentioned before that it's kind of like a communication back and forth. This is a good example of that. So someone comes to you and they say, I see that you are hiring or recruiting or looking for information. I'm going to give you my contact info. And then you have that and you immediately can go back to them with another message that says, we got it. We hear you. A perfect example of this on the micro scale, it is always important when you make a form on your website to have a thank you, we've received your submission. that little piece of communication, even if it's just on the website, is so crucial because people want to know you heard from them. And that's one of these things that I think High Ground is extremely good at, is giving you the opportunity to create that communication that doesn't just end with one message sent. It's a cycle. There's so much information that you can be giving to people.
Exactly. And like Ryan said, it's a relationship that you're building with your users. I mean, obviously with some people, they're going to text in and you may never hear from them again.
Right.
The odds are that, if you're casting enough lines out there, you're going to get some fish. Ryan, you should work for High Ground. It's like, woo.
That's why we're here. It's cross promotion. It is. I mean, it really is like, it helps to have this ecosystem, if you will, of give and take with your users. People don't really think about websites being like a small relationship you're building, but I mean, you kind of are. Think about it like websites that you go to for news. Let's say you're someone who always reads MSNBC for some reason. That's the one you've chosen and you like to go there. If they make the news hard for you to find, they're gonna lose you very, very quickly, because you're saying, I want news from you. Give me the news in an easy to consume format. And often they'll do that with push notifications, text messages, things like that give you the news. You probably always go to them and say, I want to know more. I want to hear more about that news. This relationship is exactly the same, but think of it as you're reaching out directly to people that you want to bring into your organization and help your organization grow.
Along with that, Ryan was giving some really, really great examples. And I thought of one that is a real life, or really two different ones from our corporation. So one is, say you're a college campus and you are recruiting new freshmen. You want people to come to your college. And now more than ever, I know with coronavirus going on, there are a lot of colleges that are like, now we're open. Come
come see us, please.
We don't have SARS.
Exactly.
So I've seen this play out with a lot of different colleges that have our product, in that they have those students at any recruitment fair, college fair. Again, another example is a job fair. So say you have a job where you're working for a corporation that hires, like, I don't know, 50 people a month or something crazy, right? You're a big organization. You need a way to communicate effectively, because you can't send, I mean, as much as you want to send a personalized message, especially that first draft, you're going to want to hit as many people as possible and then follow up after that. We've had organizations even use a keyword opt-in in like flyers, newsletters, things like that. If you're interested in working for Carrie's home office or whatever it is, text job to this short code. Okay, so that's an example of how that keyword works and how your reach can go even beyond that. And then, like we said earlier, all you have to do is follow up with a text message, pointing them to a form or pointing them to the website for more information. So it really is that beautiful cycle and that beautiful relationship that you're going to build with your users.
Yeah, a lot of people think about, when they think about mass messages like this, it kind of starts to leave a sour taste in their mouth, because they think about
Spam.
Like what exactly spam. We have a word for it, which I'm sure the spam corporation loves.
I want to see their marketing campaign for
that. Right. Hey, we're not bad messaging. We're
spam me.
Canned meat. Don't worry about it. The thing about it is that when you think about those campaigns that they really annoy you, it is because they're not thinking about that engagement. Their goal is information dump. And there are rare occasions where information dump is the direction to go. But for the most part, it's that relationship. It's really weirdly coincidental that we started this meeting and I got a text message that my internet bill has drafted out of my card. Great. I totally need to know that. Thank you for telling me. But it was concise, told me exactly what I needed to know. It also thanked me, which they don't need to do that, but for some reason it works. I'm like, oh, you're welcome, internet.
Oh, Ryan, I never knew you were a budgeter.
Those relationships are so important, and it's easy to lose sight of that when you're getting spammed. thinking about that content in both the message you send, the relationship, the handoff, that recruiting back and forth of the communication, it really does make a difference. So don't let it scare you away because you're thinking, oh, that annoys people. A lot of people look for it. Like I said, I look for it in that message I just received.
Absolutely. And if you have somebody that's opting into your platform, then they want to be contacted by you. It's not like you bought a list of 10,000 phone numbers off the internet and you're just sending out messages. Those people want more information from you. So you need to be prepared to reach out to them and give them the things that they're looking for.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right. I've got another poll question for you guys. And I feel like this is, take a breather. Don't think too serious. Oh, you guys are already answering. I didn't even get to read it. What song translated more than any other? Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Okay, there's a divide. Here we go. Yeah.
I'm surprised that the 99 Red Balloons isn't getting more votes because I was like, maybe I'll like.
I mean, I feel like we already know up front it's English and German. I think we're done. That's it.
It was translated. All right. So what song has been translated? Ryan, what is your guess? Do you already know the answer? I think I gave it to you.
Here's the pro. I didn't want to look because I did want to sincerely do this in the meeting.
Google it?
I don't know if it's Happy Birthday or Small World. I want it to be Hey Jude, but I don't know if it's Small. I'm gonna go with Small World.
Nice. You are correct.
Yes.
Good job. So any of you guys that it looks like 29% of you did it. So 29% of you got that one right. Happy Birthday is probably second. And then I think that it was a hymn like Silent Night or Amazing Grace was next. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
Leave
it to the Disney Corporation.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be honest, because Disney, they work for me. You can reach out to our support staff. We would love to hear from you. We have chat available on the website. You can call us and talk to us. You can email us. All of our information is right there. And it's also available, obviously, at our website. And let's see. I don't know, Ryan, do we have in10sity's information? Maybe that's on the next one.
I'm not sure, but I mean, they could always, we're right next to each other. You could always just send it over to me.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that worked just fine.
So just to wrap up, we want you guys to be able to engage your audience. We want you to very easily communicate with your audience. We want you to have updated information on your platforms. And we want you guys to be able to get the audience that you deserve. There are people out there that want to hear what you have to say. And it's important. And it's important to people. And it's important that you reach those specific people.
Yeah, everything about this is, I know we used the word reach, and I know it's part of the, part of the messaging here of the campaign, but it really literally is reaching out to people. You're reaching your users with your content, your messaging, all that information. That's what we want you to achieve. We want your website to work for you, and we want your website to perform for you. And your messaging to do the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they can really, I mean, it's like a well-oiled machine once they're
absolutely.
It's just really, really fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining our webinar. It's been such a pleasure to work with you, Ryan. I've loved
thanks.
You.
I should have said it's a pleasure to work with you. I didn't say that. It was a pleasure. It's a pleasure to work with you. I didn't say that. That's my fault.
Awesome. Well, you guys take care and have a great Thursday afternoon. Thursdays are always my favorite day because it's like Friday Eve. It's like,
yes,
I love it. So you guys take care. Thank you so much for everything and have a great day.
Thanks.